Something that we like to do on Magma, we used to have these mantras like growth, hunger, learn, and have fun, for example. And whenever we join a new team, we try to learn how this team works.
Yeah.
Because team dynamics are like very different between companies, but even between teams inside each company. Uh, so, for example, how many meetings they have each day? What are those meetings about? How do they care much about like good code practices or not? Do they care much about testing or not? And how exactly do they measure quality?
Yeah.
And the idea being that we need to learn how the team is right now so we can adapt to it, because that's basically what the client wants when they hire us. They want to add new engineers to their current team. And before we can implement, if we need to implement any changes to make the team better, we need to first know the state of the team.
Picture this: you're leading an engineering team inside a client project, balancing timelines, tech debt, and daily commits. Now, imagine you're also guiding that team as a manager within your company, helping them grow not just as coders, but as professionals. Oh, and on top of that, you're building community too. That's what Kevin does. He's an engineering manager at Magma, a senior engineering on client projects, and the kind of person who codes on Ruby, Node.js, and React, but also leads Playas on Tech. A dev community focused on creating real opportunity in Latin America. He's proof that scaling isn't just about frameworks and sprints. It's also about people, collaboration, and local ecosystems. Kevin, hello and welcome to this Skyline Dilemma. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
And we were really looking forward to have you. Since we were planning this episode, we were like, who should we invite? And you were in the top 3 people that we needed to interview.
Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. So before we dive into the technical issues and everything, right? I want to know something about you, something that tell us how you ended up here. Like it is because when you ask a lead how they lead, right? It's probably the answer is probably in the way they got there in the first place, right? So
Makes sense.
here's the first question: how did you first get into tech? Was it opportunity, or a combination, curiosity, or what?
When I was a child, I loved to play with the computers at my local library. I sometimes ended up formatting the whole drive and not knowing how to reinstall the operating system. I just basically disabled the computers,
Yeah.
and I was one of those kids that thought that you could copy over Microsoft Word or PowerPoint just by dragging and dropping the shortcuts
Yeah, I know.
into a disk.
Floppy disk.
Into a floppy disk.
I
Yeah.
remember we had an anecdote
Yeah.
for our guys in junior high or high school, whatever, right? When the internet first came out and whatever, or it was becoming popular, that we used to navigate. That's the word we used to use, right? Or navigate on the web.
Yeah.
And
Or surfing the web.
yeah, or surfing the web, right?
Yeah, that's an old term now.
Yeah, because you remember the navigate was from Netscape. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
but because of the actual the name of the web browser, Netscape Navigator.
Yeah, Netscape Navigator. So there was this guy. We were navigating in the computer science lab, right? And then he was like, "Oh, but today is different because I brought a floppy disk. Can you save internet here?" Like he meant the Internet Explorer browser.
Yeah,
right?
the whole. Can you please put the whole internet here
Yeah.
in a floppy drive? I mean, even if it was back then, the whole internet is not gonna fit
Yeah,
into a
no,
floppy disk.
no, not at all, not at all. So, and you were telling me,
Yeah, I was very interested in computers since early age. I live with my grandparents because of family situation back in the day.
yeah,
And they managed to enroll me in a course I mean, it doesn't exist anymore. It's like an old school,
Yeah.
old like old computer school in Manzanillo.
You know what? It's like these now boot camps, right?
Yeah,
They got
basically
online.
that.
They were what
Basically
they.
that, but old school.
Yeah.
Like you have to go to the place, you get assigned a computer. Then today we're going to learn how to draw in Paint.
Yeah.
Today we're going to learn how to use Notepad.
Did you think like at some point this is exactly what I'm supposed to do, or do you hesitate at some point?
Well, I got interested like more deeply as I went into high school, I guess. Because a friend, and my cousin and I were like very good friends back then,
Yeah.
and we both decided to basically study the same like career, and we wanted both to study something related to computers.
Yeah.
Because someone else that we admired, like a friend from the town, a friend from town, was studying mechatronics by that time.
Yeah.
And we loved the computers, we loved the electronics, and we loved robots.
Yeah.
So we wanted to learn something, to do something similar to that. But we both enrolled at high school in programming analyst, I think is the name of the career.
Yeah.
He didn't make it because he decided to part ways and pursue different career.
What did he ended up studying?
I think he hasn't managed to. He basically did a lot of things. Like he learned how to play the guitar.
Yeah.
He became a paramedic. He also, I think he sold cars.
Okay.
Sometimes. So he ended up being like a jack of all trades.
Yeah, I get
While
it.
I specialized in software basically, and I ended up going like the software route instead of like the mechatronics one, because mechatronics is like a little bit of software but also electronics and also robotics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I ended up going like specializing in software by the time I got to university.
Yeah.
And that's when I basically knew I'd be working on something related to software from early age.
Yeah. And now that you're in a leadership role, did that come naturally to you, or was it something that you had to grow into?
Yeah, I definitely had to grow into it because I was the type of person that is not like used to be around or work with other people.
Uh-huh.
I was that kid in school that basically, I had friends, but you wouldn't be able to tell that I had friends, and I basically never left my house, and I was always like doing something in the computer. Yeah.
So, Kevin, what's a part of your story that people might not see on LinkedIn, but shape you, but shape who you are as a teammate or a manager?
Well, I guess that was when I discovered the industry here in Colima. Because when I was at university, we, for example, teachers used to show us how they work at Google or at Microsoft or stuff like that, just to like trying to inspire us to get to those heights. And you will see like a very different style of what corporations used to be.
Yeah.
Because I guess I'm old enough to remember the Microsoft of the old days when everybody was wearing a suit and everybody was wearing a tie and everything was so square.
Yeah.
So once Google came along, became big and basically changed the whole culture around it, everybody wanted to be like Google. So seeing people working in those types of open offices, enjoying different perks,
Yeah.
basically enjoying being at work, it was like very different. And then, and at the beginning, I thought that was only something that was only available in the US.
Yeah.
that you wouldn't be able to find something like that
in here.
in Mexico, not even in Colima.
Yeah, of course.
But that's when I discovered that old company now, Crowd Interactive. And through them, I knew that there was actually an actual a small version of that, if you want, but very, very similar.
Yeah.
Right here in this small corner of Mexico.
Okay. So what about the leading position that you have right now? Let's talk about leading engineers while still being one of them, right? Being an engineer. So is it hard? Like being the lead and still being an engineer, a guy who codes?
It can be sometimes. I guess it depends on just how much of your time is. It's like you are managing two different abilities, skills at the same time. Like you're juggling stuff in there. Because the set of skills you need to manage people is not the same set of skills you need to actually write code. And but of course both are important, so you need to know how to actually get your mind into I probably need to learn this skill to be a better manager, and I need to learn this skill to be a better engineer. So just how much time I'm gonna put on this, and it mostly depends on just how much your team depends on you. And I have been lucky enough to have good engineers in my team, so it's not like a huge burden on me most of the time. But there have been situations in which I need to make sure everything is okay, or some people are having issues related to the company or with the client, and then you need to intervene, and I need to manage that with actually working on tickets and fixing bugs and deploying stuff to production.
Yeah, and speaking of which, what do you look for when helping another developer to grow up and to level up?
Well, the thing I do for juniors, it's different when you are leading. It's different when you are dealing with junior developers or senior developers, because junior developers are usually very enthusiastic. They're full of energy, and they want to learn everything. So it's easy in that case because they have already have all the energy towards learning. You can just direct their learning into the specific skills they need for a particular project. For example. You still need to allow some freedom there, so they can learn other stuff that is not currently being used in the project. But most of the time, it's easy to identify why they need what they need to learn, and based on their current skills and the project. But for senior developers, it can get really hard. Because most of them are probably very busy. So even if you we used to do these things called career paths, in which we created three skill trees. So people can start learning from this one and then branch into this one, depending on if they wanted to specialize on something specific. Juniors were enjoyed those very much. I still remember some of my juniors asking me for basically give us more branches in the tree. We want to learn more. But senior developers are quite difficult. Just because they basically don't have time.
Or they think they already know whatever they need to know to do in a specific thing, right?
Yeah, I guess. I myself have done something like that in the past. Like when my previous manager, for example, said that I needed to do this course, or I needed to do this tutorial, or this challenge. I told them I already did that 2 projects ago or something like that, or something very similar. So probably I don't need to do it right now. Right, it's like because you have like less time and honestly less energy too.
Because of the seniority, right? The seniority, you're becoming old.
If you believe that it's not going to be like really worth it, then you look for ways around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Procrastinate the thing.
Yeah. If you want a senior developer to get new skills, you need to put them either in a project or assign them a task that requires those skills.
Instead of just watching tutorials.
Yeah. That works better for seniors because they're now because it's now a task they need to deliver. They now feel motivated to do it instead of feeling it like a side hustle.
Yeah.
Because if they have their primary work, their main work, and a side tutorial they need to do, they're going to put that away all the time. They want to focus on this.
And how do you manage to give feedback to these seniors?
Well, I've been lucky enough. I haven't had like very difficult people to deal with.
Yeah.
There was one time when I provided feedback to an engineer because the client was actually what was the word for it? Complaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he wasn't delivering tickets on time. He said, like for example, oh, this task is going to take me 2 days, but 2 weeks in, he hasn't completed the task.
Okay.
All the developers from his team were complaining as well. So it was a difficult situation because he said that it wasn't like it's not like he was lazy or he didn't want to do the job, but he had other things in his mind.
Yeah.
Family issues, house issues, stuff like that.
Personal stuff.
Yeah, personal stuff. And personal stuff is always there, and people don't usually speak about it. And it's probably, I mean, when everything is right at home, people are usually very productive.
Yeah.
And you don't need to keep you don't actually you don't actually need to keep focusing on them all the time.
Yeah.
They can do their job by themselves. And you can, but when stuff at home is not right, it always affects every aspect of a person.
Yeah.
And you can, when that happens in this industry, I mean, it's probably not different from other industries, but just start noticing it because someone that usually worked really well, suddenly it's not.
Yeah.
And they won't tell you why. You ask them multiple times, and they just said, no, it was a difficult task, or I was busy with something else.
It's difficult for them to open up.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in a remote situation.
Okay.
Because we are not like we used to have a more closer culture in Magma, in which we knew each other, we shared beers with each other. So in those scenarios, it's like easier because it feels more like a friend than a manager.
Yeah.
It's easier to actually open up. But since we are a remote first company, especially with new people, it's hard to know what's going on behind the scenes. You only know what they tell you.
And especially when these people is like their first job or their second job and they don't know how to manage cultural things, because I know that Magma cares about the wellness of people, right? And they have these programs and whatever. And when they are not used to share, they feel weird when they speak about their problems, right? Do you still get the one-on-one situation?
Yeah, we still do it, yeah.
Yeah. And how do you feel? Do you believe that helps with that you were mentioning?
I thought back in the day when we were like everyone was in the office, I thought it was not really necessary because if something came up, like I have an issue, I have this grievance, I need your help, it was easier to just stand up and reach the person, right?
Yeah.
So a specific time or a specific meeting to talk about issues at that time, it seemed like redundant to me.
And it's because it doesn't feel like natural, like organic, like let's book a meeting to speak about problems.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. But now that we are remote first, I mean, it's very important.
Yeah.
Most of the time, engineers For example, for all the engineers I manage are in different teams. Even if they are working for the same client, they're not in the same team, so they probably don't speak to each other regularly.
Yeah.
Because they're focused in the different projects. So if not for meetings like that, we won't probably speak in the whole month.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Exactly. And how do you approach giving feedback when you're also appearing the code base?
Well, it's different than when you're not.
Yeah.
Because you have like you have a better idea of how a person thinks and works in terms of code when you are part of the team. How do I approach feedback for that? When I started working at Magma, I used to read basically all the documents they had for like newcomers, and there was this guidelines to do code review, which is basically just remember that some of the points I remember from the top of my head. It's like most coding decisions are a matter of taste, for example. Meaning that even though we have good practices and each team may have their own set of practices they want to follow, software code is so malleable that you will always find different ways of doing the same thing, like 50 ways of doing the exact same thing. Best practices are a way to like ensure code is written in a good way that is maintainable, that is easy to understand, to improve, to expand. But it's not, they're usually not like written in stone, and there's a lot of exceptions for specific scenarios. So it's that rule, the taste rule, basically says that you don't need to get too like obsessed with a specific way of doing things.
The way it looks in your head, right? And another person gives you another point of view and whatever, and you were like...
because I've seen experienced developers do that. If you write the code in a specific way, it works. And it's basically inside the guidelines. But then they basically read your PR and they basically write it themselves in their head, and they start typing lots of code as a recommendation that it should be doing this way, this should be in a different file, this should be renamed like this.
You write it, right?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So you are an engineer manager at your company at Magma, and then in front of the client, you are a senior engineer, right?
Engineer, yeah.
So these two roles have ever pulled in different directions?
Not really for me.
Yeah.
Not really. But I've spoken about it with other people that basically were engineers, then started to work on management and abandoned engineering completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for them, they found out that it was easier for them to manage people than to write software. For me, it's the opposite.
Yeah. It's the opposite way?
Yeah.
Yeah, so probably they just wanted like a little bit of a door open to, I'm out of coding, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. How do you represent your company's culture inside a client's environment? That's a tough one, I guess.
Yeah, especially when you are remote, I guess, a remote developer. Something that we like to do on Magma, we used to have these mantras like growth, hunger, learn and have fun, for example. And whenever we join a new team, we try to learn how this team works.
Yeah.
Because team dynamics are like very different between companies, but even between teams inside each company. So for example, how many meetings they have each day? What are those meetings about? How do they care much about like good code practices or not? Do they care much about testing or not? And how exactly do they measure quality?
Yeah.
And the idea being that we need to learn how the team is right now so we can adapt to it, because That's basically what the client wants when they hire us. They want to add new engineers to their current team. And before we can implement, if we need to implement any changes to make the team better, we need to first know the state of the team.
We all have heard about that is PMs or founders. They have a vision of how things should work and whatever, and there is the vision of the developers, right? And
sometimes they clash.
Yeah, they collide. And so if there is something you wish founders and PMs understood better about your day-to-day reality, what would that be?
Well, probably that good software, it's difficult to make. Yeah, we've seen, for example, we do this agile development in cycles, basically, this agile methodology.
Iterative, right?
Yeah, which is iterative. We do that for a reason, because clients want to have like a stuff like really quick. Whenever they ask for something, they basically want it right now. And they could have it right now, but it's not going to be in a very good shape. So it's important for either product owners or project managers to understand that yes, we could deliver something complex in a short amount of time, but that doesn't guarantee quality.
Yeah.
So they need to balance requirements for speed. We want this right now, and we want this to work properly. So a way to do that is use agile methodologies, because we can start by covering the basics and actually delivering something quickly, and then later, over the multiple iterations, we can start finishing, rounding the edges and polishing everything, so it actually has like good quality.
What is your take on nowadays? I don't know if you've heard about this, but there is a lot of people that are against agile methodologies, right?
Really?
Yeah, it is like for example, I think it's something that is trendy right now, but it comes natural from from stages, from ages, like for example for generations. I mean, whenever something is set by a generation, the next generation ends up like don't like it, hating or
something
whatever.
is the norm and we don't like it. That's the old way. We need a new one. Yeah.
Everybody wants to change everything, the status quo or whatever. They just want change. And I believe that at first, cascade thing, right, was replaced by agile methodologies and whatever. And nowadays, I think that is the time when somebody is going to come up with something else, with a new framework. Have you heard about that thing?
I haven't heard of a specific like proposals to replace agile methodologies, but you're right. It became the norm. It became the norm because it was a better way to do things.
Yes, of course.
Than the way we did before.
It's like people speak about capitalism, right? It's not the perfect thing, but it's the better.
Yeah, and it's the same thing here. It's not perfect, obviously, and it has ways. It has probably many different ways you can improve it.
Yeah.
So I guess we can actually use agile to make agile better.
Okay. Yeah.
Through iterations. Yeah.
Yes.
And this will be one of those iterations. So if the new generations came up with something that actually works better for everyone, that's good.
Excellent, Kevin. Let's move to the community situation. Playas on Tech.
Oh.
Yes. How did this begin?
Well, like about 6 years ago, Magma Labs did an event in the city of Manzanillo, which was a cold retreat event. Do you know what a cold retreat is?
A cold retreat?
Yeah, cold retreat.
It's like a retreat.
It used to be like a way to improve how developers think about problems.
Yeah.
And how to solve them, and it's basically an old practice now. It is practiced all around the world. There's a website in which you can see every year different locations that celebrate the event. And it's basically...
So it's a singular event, international?
Yeah, an international event, multiple venues, register them.
Okay.
Different organizations organize their own.
Yeah.
But they all like publish that in the same website. So if you are traveling abroad and you want to participate in the event, you know where to go to, for example. And it's basically a whole day of activities in which you are like challenge yourself to code with different restrictions, so you can think outside the box to handle those situations. So Magma did that kind of event back in the day, and as part of that, because it's usually like you can learn some lots of about the basics of programming in events like that. So lots of students were there, and I always loved communities, like for example the big one we have here in Colima, like the Web the Talks.
Which is huge now. I remember.
Yeah.
What is like what 5 years? No, 7 years, something like that, right?
No, it has like 11 years now.
It's been 11 years. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, it's. And
I remember Noé the first time said, "Hey, you want to be sponsored or something, right?" And now they're huge. Wow.
Nah, yeah, they're huge now. And I've seen communities in Guadalajara. I've been in touch with them, but this one with Web the Talks is probably bigger than all of them.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So when I started working at Cloud when I did my practices like scholarship at Cloud Interactive, I learned about that community, and I always loved the fact that it's basically everyone who wants to learn something can join.
Yeah.
And I wanted to replicate that. I wanted to basically do the same thing they did for me. I wanted to build a place in which someone which had a desire to learn something could find it. And I got that opportunity in that event because of all the students that got there. I proposed that to the people, and we formed the first small first group for Players on Tech.
Yeah.
And we did the first session, I guess, at the local university the next month.
Awesome.
So it's been 6 years.
6 years now.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So having this insight from being a senior engineer, an engineer manager, and a community founder, how do you see the Latin American role for devs and how they are going to evolve globally? Do you have any special insight for that?
Well, we are a very strong if we see them from the whole country, I guess, or even this region of the country.
Yeah.
We are a very powerful force in the industry nowadays.
Yeah.
And it has been like that for a while now.
Yeah.
Because since the days of Crowd Interactive, basically, small companies here in Colima were doing big stuff.
Yeah.
That not even companies at Guadalajara were doing, for example.
Yeah.
It was a very niche market. I get that, but it's still it was giving people opportunities that you wouldn't see anywhere else. And because the people back then decided to not close this up, but instead they decided to open it up with communities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It basically started a whole bunch of different companies and initiatives and projects in this region of the country that I can see their impact as of today.
Awesome.
So we're still powerful force, and we're probably going to get even more powerful.
Excellent, Kevin. So I'm really thankful for you being here. And before we finish this episode, I want to ask you a question that I kind of ask everyone that is in here, but according to their role, right? Let me ask you this question. Let me read it. If you had to put one message on a billboard for every junior dev to read it, what would it say?
I think it would say something like read code, write code, share code.
Share code. That was profound, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for being here. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
So there is. Scaling isn't just about tech or talent. It's about finding balance in your roles, growing people, and building culture that can survive beyond any single project or sprint. Kevin's journey shows us that leadership can come from the middle, not just the top, and that technical depth and human connection don't have to be opposites. They can and should grow together. In future episodes, we'll keep digging into the real challenges of scaling, how companies grow without losing their soul, how teams evolve under pressure, and how leaders, formal or not, help shape what comes next. Stay tuned. This was the Scaling Dilemma.